You weren't supposed to find this video, but you did. And that alone is the first sign that quantum reality is already working through you. Because the truth that nobody tells you is this: quantum reality isn't complicated, it's calling you. And the reason your life feels stuck, heavy, or confusing is because you've been misled. You've been told to look everywhere except the one place where your reality actually begins: inside you. People think quantum reality is strange, mystical, or distant. But what if the real reason it seems misunderstood is because it's too simple? So simple your mind ignores it. So simple your past convinces you it can't be true. Yet here you are at the exact moment you were meant to wake up to this. Take a breath. You're about to understand something that will change the trajectory of your day, your mind, maybe even your future. Quantum reality doesn't respond to what you wish. It doesn't respond to what you fear. It responds to what you broadcast. And right now, most people are broadcasting confusion, stress, scarcity, and self-doubt without even realizing it. That's why their life feels unpredictable. Not because reality is chaotic, but because their inner signal is. You see, everything in the universe, every thought, every emotion, every choice is a frequency. And frequencies don't lie. You can pretend you're fine. But your energy reveals the truth instantly. That's where misunderstanding begins. People think quantum reality is magic or luck or coincidence. But the quantum field is brutally honest. It mirrors your internal world with terrifying precision. If your inner world is chaotic, your external world will reflect chaos. If your inner world is calm, your external world begins to align. And if your inner world is powerful, confident, intentional, your life begins to shift in ways that feel almost supernatural. But here's the emotional part, the part most people never hear. You don't need to be perfect to change your reality. You only need to be aligned. Alignment doesn't mean high vibe every day. It means being brutally honest with what you feel so you can release it instead of fighting yourself. Because the moment you stop fighting yourself, reality stops fighting you. People misunderstand quantum reality because they expect a dramatic moment, a sign from the sky, a miracle, an instant manifestation. But quantum shifts happen silently. They start with the smallest change in your internal state. One new thought, one moment of clarity, 1 second where you decide, I'm done repeating this old version of myself. That single moment, that's when the quantum field reacts. Not later, not after 100 affirmations, not when you feel ready, but the exact moment your internal frequency changes. This is where the simplicity becomes almost uncomfortable. You don't need more time, you don't need more knowledge, you don't need more healing. You only need one aligned second, and your reality begins to reorganize itself around that decision. But here's the part nobody tells you. That reorganization is messy. It looks like loss, endings, discomfort. But this is not punishment, it's recalibration. When your frequency changes, anything that no longer matches it must fall away. People, habits, environments, even thoughts you've held for years. And because we fear losing what we know, we resist the shift. We cling to the old patterns. We force the universe to mirror our old energy. That's why reality feels hard, not because the quantum field is complicated, but because letting go is. So here's the truth you came here to hear today. Quantum reality is simple, but your attachment to your old identity is not. You say you want a new life, but keep thinking the same thoughts. You say you want abundance, but feel unworthy of receiving it. You say you want peace, but hold on to people who drain you. And the quantum field listens only to the frequency, not the words. Let that sink in. Now breathe again. Feel your body. Feel the subtle shift happening inside you as you hear these words. This moment, right now, is your frequency recalibrating. You're remembering that quantum reality was never about believing harder. It was about feeling differently, about choosing, even if just for a second, a state of clarity, of intention, of truth. You don't need to understand every scientific detail. You don't need to master every spiritual technique. The quantum field already understands you. And the truth is, you've been communicating with it your whole life. Every time you felt a gut feeling, every time something just happened, every time life aligned perfectly without effort, that was the quantum field responding. And when things fell apart, that wasn't punishment. It was the universe removing what didn't match where you were meant to go next. So let me ask you something. What if nothing in your life was random? What if everything that brought you here, every moment of pain, every mistake, every loss, was part of aligning you with the exact frequency you need today? You didn't click this video by chance. You clicked because your reality is already shifting and you felt it. You're not here to learn quantum reality. You're here to remember it. But here is the part that shakes people the most. Once you remember how quantum reality actually works, you can no longer pretend you are powerless. You can no longer blame circumstances. You can no longer say, I can't. Because deep down, you now know that every thought, every emotion, every expectation has been quietly shaping your life all along. And this is where the fear begins. Not fear of the unknown, but fear of your own potential. Most people misunderstand quantum reality because they're terrified of what it means. If you truly can influence your reality, then you are responsible for every shift, every change, every moment of alignment. That level of responsibility scares people. So they convince themselves that life happens to them, not through them. They collapse into old beliefs, old patterns, old versions of themselves, because it feels safer than stepping into their true power. But you are not like most people. If you were, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be listening to this. Something in you is waking up. Something in you is remembering that there is more to life than survival and repetition. You've felt it for years. That strange sense that you were meant for something more, that your intuition wasn't just imagination, that your emotions weren't random, that moments of synchronicity weren't accidents. They were signals. Signals that your inner world was speaking to your outer world, and the universe was responding. Quantum reality is simple because it obeys one rule. You receive what matches your internal state. Not what you want, not what you beg for, not what you chase, but who you are on the inside. Let that truth break something open in you. Because the moment you stop trying to get and instead focus on becoming, everything shifts. You don't chase love. You become someone aligned with love. You don't chase clarity. You become someone who no longer tolerates confusion. You don't chase abundance. You become someone who finally feels worthy of receiving it. When your state changes, your reality must follow. It has no choice. That is the law of the quantum field. But here comes the emotional part the world avoids. Becoming this new version of yourself means releasing the version who survived all your past pain. And that hurts. People think quantum transformation feels magical. Sometimes it does, but most of the time it feels like letting go of who you thought you needed to be. It feels like grieving an old identity. It feels like losing people who cannot meet you where you're going. It feels like stepping into empty space before the new reality forms. And that space, that empty, uncertain space, is where most people give up. They run back to their old frequency. They cling to the familiar. They sabotage their own evolution because they confuse discomfort with danger. But hear this clearly, discomfort is not danger. Discomfort is expansion. Discomfort is evidence that your old frequency is breaking. You are not collapsing. You are recalibrating. You are not losing yourself. You are returning to who you were meant to be before fear shaped your decisions. Quantum reality has always been simple, but your conditioning made it complicated. You were taught life is random. Life is hard. You get what you deserve. You must fight for everything. Nothing comes easy. But none of that came from your soul. It came from the people who were too afraid to trust their own power. People who unconsciously passed their limitations to you. People who stopped believing and taught you to do the same. But look at you now, still here, still searching, still refusing to settle for a life that doesn't feel aligned with who you truly are. That alone proves something. Your soul has always known the truth. It has been whispering it through intuition, through emotion, through desire, through signals you couldn't ignore. And now that you're remembering, everything is accelerating. You're beginning to notice patterns, moments where reality shifts faster than you expected, people who suddenly leave or enter your life at the perfect time, opportunities that appear when you least expect them, thoughts that become experiences with almost no delay. This isn't coincidence, this is alignment. And alignment feels like magic, because you finally stopped resisting the version of you the universe has been waiting for. But here's the truth that brings everything together. Quantum reality bends for the self that is most consistent inside you. If you keep identifying with fear, you attract more fear. If you keep identifying with lack, you attract more lack. If you keep identifying with strength, clarity, and power, your reality begins reshaping itself around that identity. It is not the universe that is complicated. It is the identity you inherited, the identity you cling to, that creates confusion. Because quantum reality cannot deliver a new experience to someone who insists on being the old version of themselves. This is why the concept is so misunderstood. People want a new life, but keep thinking the same thoughts. People want abundance, but stay attached to guilt and unworthiness. People want miracles, but refuse to release the patterns that block them. So the world concludes that quantum reality doesn't work. But the truth is, it works too well. It mirrors you instantly, precisely, relentlessly. It reveals what you really believe, not what you say you believe. And that's where the emotional breakthrough begins. Once you see this, you can never unsee it. You begin to understand that the universe isn't ignoring you, it's responding to the deepest version of you. The question is, who are you choosing to be in this moment? Because right now, as you listen, your frequency is shifting. Your awareness is expanding, your identity is evolving. You are stepping out of the old story and into the quantum truth you've always felt, but never fully understood. And the beauty is, you don't need to force anything, you don't need to control anything. You only need to align with the version of yourself that already knows the way. Everything else will reorganize around you. People, choices, paths, opportunities, even your own thoughts. This is why quantum reality is simple. Because the moment you shift internally, the entire field responds without hesitation. And the misunderstanding? It comes from forgetting that the field is listening to your state, not your struggle. You're waking up. You're remembering. And your new reality is already forming in the background, waiting for you to step into it fully. But here's the moment that most people never reach, and the moment you are approaching right now. The moment when you finally realize that quantum reality is not something out there. It's something you are participating in every second, whether consciously or unconsciously. This realization hits differently. It's not a thought, it's not an idea. It's a shift, a physical sensation, like something inside you finally clicks into place. Maybe you feel warmth in your chest, pressure behind your eyes, or a sudden sense of clarity that feels almost electric. That feeling, that is alignment. That is when the quantum field responds the fastest, because the quantum field doesn't respond to force, or desperation, or begging. It responds to the truth inside you. And the truth is suddenly becoming undeniable. You are not small. You are not powerless. You're not disconnected. You're not hoping reality will change. You are creating the shift from within. This is why so many people misunderstand quantum reality. They try to manipulate the external world while ignoring the internal world that actually shapes it. They keep asking, when will it happen? When will life get better? When will my moment finally come? But the quantum field is not waiting. It is reflecting. Reflecting the doubt, the impatience, the fear, the belief that something is missing. You can't attract what you believe is missing. You can only attract what you believe is already connected to you. Let that sink deeper. This is why desire without belief becomes suffering. It is wanting something from a frequency that says you don't have it. It is trying to pull something towards you while your inner state pushes it away. But the moment you shift, the moment you decide, this is who I am now, the field reorganizes. It doesn't hesitate, it doesn't question, it doesn't need proof or time, it simply responds. Reality begins adjusting in ways you can't see yet. Conversations change, opportunities rearrange, paths you didn't even know existed begin forming in the background. People who match your new frequency begin moving closer. People who don't simply drift away. And this part is emotional, sometimes painfully emotional. Because elevation requires separation, not punishment, not loss, just frequency alignment. When you raise your frequency, anything or anyone operating on a lower one can no longer remain. It's not personal, it's physics. Think about that for a moment. You didn't lose anything. Your new frequency simply cannot hold what no longer matches it. You're not being abandoned, you're being prepared, you're being cleared. Your life is being reorganized to match who you're becoming, not who you were. This is where most people break, not because the universe said no, but because they interpreted the reorganization as chaos instead of alignment. You might recognize this. You ask for clarity, and people you outgrew suddenly leave. You ask for peace, and situations that once distracted you collapse. You ask for growth, and the old identity becomes unbearable to live inside. You ask for abundance, and everything that blocks abundance rises to the surface. You ask for love, and the universe removes the people who only offered half of it. It feels like endings, but it's actually the beginning. Quantum reality is simple because it has one purpose: to match your inner state. This is why emotional work is quantum work. Why inner shifts lead to outer changes. Why awareness transforms everything without effort. But here's something deeper, something people rarely talk about. The quantum field is not moved by your strongest desire. It is moved by your most dominant belief. You can want abundance, but if your dominant belief is unworthiness, you will create experiences that match unworthiness. You can want love, but if your dominant belief is fear of abandonment, you will manifest relationships that reinforce that fear. You can want success, but if your dominant belief is I don't deserve it, your reality will agree. Quantum reality is misunderstood because people think the universe is ignoring them. In truth, the universe is obeying them. The field is not judging, it is reflecting. It is mirroring the identity you embody most consistently. Not your moments of confidence, but your baseline. Not your affirmations, but your emotional patterns. Not your words, but your energy. This is why understanding quantum reality becomes almost uncomfortable. It requires radical honesty with yourself. It forces you to confront the beliefs you've been carrying for years. Beliefs you inherited, believed, repeated, and never questioned. Beliefs that shaped your reality without your permission. But today, right now, listening to this, you are breaking that chain. You're seeing the truth behind the curtain. You're recognizing that you are the one who sets the frequency, and the universe is the one who amplifies it. Let me tell you something powerful. The quantum field is always trying to give you what matches your higher self, but your old beliefs interfere like static in a radio signal. They distort the message before it reaches your reality. Fear is static, doubt is static, shame is static, past trauma is static, patterns you repeat without questioning, static. But clarity, presence, intention, truth, those are pure frequencies. And when you broadcast from them, your reality shifts more quickly than you can imagine. This is why people experience sudden breakthroughs, those quantum leaps everyone talks about. It's not magic, it's alignment, a brief moment where their internal signal becomes clean, undistorted, and the universe snaps into formation around it. You have felt this before, maybe not consciously, but you have. Those moments when everything just flows, when coincidences pile up, when life feels guided, and when the right things happen with impossible timing, when you feel like you're being carried by something bigger. That's the quantum field responding to clarity. And here's the most empowering truth you'll hear today. That clarity is not rare. You've just been taught to drown it out. Every time you silence yourself to please others, every time you ignore your intuition to fit in, every time you deny your desire because you fear judgment, every time you choose safety over truth, your frequency weakens, your reality reflects confusion instead of alignment. But the opposite is also true. Every time you honor what you feel, every time you choose authenticity over fear, every time you follow the pull of your intuition, every time you say, "I'm done with this version of me," your frequency strengthens and the quantum field reacts instantly. You're not manifesting, you're embodying, you're remembering, you're allowing, and the universe is responding. But now, we arrive at one of the most misunderstood truths about quantum reality, a truth that almost no one talks about because it challenges everything people think they know. Your reality does not change when you want something. Your reality changes when you become someone new. Identity, not desire. Identity is the engine of the quantum field, because the quantum field does not give you what you ask for. It gives you what you are a match to. Everything you experience, every moment, every interaction, every coincidence is reflecting one thing only: your dominant identity. Not the mask you show the world, not the version of you who pretends to be strong, not the person who posts confidence online while doubting yourself in silence. The field responds to the honest identity that lives underneath all of that. It listens to the version of you that speaks in your private thoughts, the version that says, "I'm not enough. I don't deserve more. Maybe I'm asking for too much. What if I fail? What if I'm not chosen? What if nothing changes?" Those thoughts are not harmless, they are frequencies. They broadcast your identity with absolute precision, and reality mirrors them perfectly. This is why people feel stuck. They're trying to create a new life while holding on to an old identity. They're trying to attract abundance while carrying the identity of someone who fears scarcity. They're trying to attract love while carrying the identity of someone who expects disappointment. They're trying to evolve while holding on to patterns that keep them small. Quantum reality is simple, but becoming the version of you that matches what you want, that is the real work. And that is where emotional transformation begins. Because you don't step into a new identity through logic, you step into it through feeling. Feeling is the language of the quantum field. This is why thoughts alone don't change your life. Thoughts without emotion are just noise, but thoughts fused with emotion, those become a frequency strong enough to reshape your reality. You've felt this before, moments when you felt deeply empowered, deeply certain, deeply aligned. And suddenly, life responded. Something shifted, something aligned, something happened that felt meant for you, because your frequency matched your higher identity for a moment, and the field reflected it. But most people fall back into old emotions automatically. They sink into old habits, old narratives, old wounds, old versions of themselves, not because they are weak, but because the brain is addicted to what is familiar. Even if the familiar is painful, your brain doesn't want what's best for you. It wants what's predictable. It wants what it already understands. It wants what it has repeated for years. This is why elevating your identity feels like breaking gravity. You're not fighting the universe, you're fighting your own neurological conditioning. You're breaking patterns that have been reinforced for a lifetime. Patterns you didn't choose, patterns you inherited, patterns burned into your nervous system long before you knew what reality even was. But here is the moment of truth. The moment you become aware of a pattern, you are no longer controlled by it. Awareness weakens the grip. Awareness breaks the unconscious cycle. Awareness opens the door to a new identity. Let this sink deep. You do not need to heal everything before your reality changes. You only need to stop choosing the version of you created by your wounds. Read that again. The quantum field doesn't wait for perfection. It responds to direction. It responds to the identity you are choosing in this moment, not the identity you carried yesterday. And this leads to the emotional breakthrough most people avoid. Becoming a new identity requires letting go of the emotions that kept your old identity alive. Fear, self-doubt, guilt, shame, unworthiness, attachment to people who no longer align with you. Stories that say, "This is just who I am." When you release those emotions, you're not losing yourself. You're losing the version of you that was built in survival, the version that formed in response to pain, the version that settled, the version that accepted less than it deserved. Quantum reality is simple because it doesn't care about your past, only your present frequency. Your past is not stopping you. Your identity attachment is. This is why quantum leaps look sudden, but they are not sudden at all. They are the result of one powerful shift. You stop identifying with who you've been and choose who you're going to be. In that moment, that exact second, the quantum field begins rearranging everything around you. The people you need, the opportunities you need, the timing you need, the clarity you need, the strength you need, the version of you need, it all begins forming. And the world will call it coincidence, luck, or destiny. But you will know the truth. It was alignment. It was identity. It was you. Because the moment you shift who you are on the inside, your external reality has no choice but to catch up. And here's the final emotional truth of this part. Nothing you want is in the future. It is already in the field. It is already connected to you. It is already encoded in your timeline. The only thing missing is the version of you who can receive it. Once that version emerges, your life will bend in ways you can barely imagine right now. This is the simplicity people misunderstand. This is the truth hidden in plain sight. This is the doorway you're stepping into right now as your awareness expands into a new identity. And the more you remember this, the faster everything begins to change. And now we reach the turning point, the moment when everything you've heard starts connecting within you at a deeper level. Because understanding quantum reality isn't just about knowing, it's about feeling the truth activate inside you. And something in you is activating. You can feel it, a pull, a recognition, a sense that your life is shifting in the background even if you can't see it yet. This is the first sign of quantum alignment, not fireworks, not miracles falling from the sky, but a subtle inner shift, a knowing that something in you has clicked into place, that your energy is no longer scattered, that a new version of you is beginning to take shape. This is where the real transformation begins. Because as your identity shifts, the quantum field begins to reorganize itself around you. People sense it, situations respond to it, life bends to it. And this is important. Your external world always adjusts to your internal world, never the opposite. Most people live backwards. They try to change their outer reality so they can finally feel different inside. But quantum reality works in reverse. You shift internally first, and the outer world follows. This is why people who wait for proof never transform. They wait for a sign. They wait for the perfect moment. They wait for life to give permission. They wait for the fear to disappear. But the quantum field does not respond to waiting. It responds to becoming. And when you decide, when you truly decide, your identity changes instantly. That decision is the frequency the universe responds to. Not hope, not wishing, not trying, but decision. You know this feeling. The moment when something inside you says, I'm done living like this. I refuse to carry this story anymore. I'm ready for something new. This version of me is not enough for who I'm becoming. That moment of inner truth is more powerful than years of effort, because it shifts your frequency in a single breath, and the universe reacts. But here's the part nobody prepares you for. As soon as your identity rises, everything that doesn't match your new frequency begins to shake. Old relationships become uncomfortable, old habits feel heavy, old thoughts feel false, old environments feel too small, old beliefs can't survive inside your new self. Feels like breaking, but it's actually alignment. The universe isn't taking anything from you, it's clearing space. Clearing people who drain you, clearing fears that block you, clearing patterns that shrink you, clearing timelines that no longer belong to you. It feels disruptive because your old identity is dissolving, but that dissolution is the doorway to your expansion. Think about it. Your old life can't coexist with your new frequency. Your old self can't survive inside your new awareness. Your old patterns can't operate inside your new identity. You're shedding, you're upgrading, you're stepping into a version of yourself that you've avoided, feared, or doubted for years, but you always knew was inside you. This is why things feel intense when you shift, because intensity is the sign that the identity you're releasing no longer has control. Intensity is not the enemy. It's the evidence of transformation. And transformation always requires one thing: space. Space emotionally, space mentally, space energetically, space spiritually. This is why things fall away before your blessings arrive. The field cannot bring new experiences into a timeline overflowing with old attachments. Nothing is being taken from you, it is being removed for you. And here's the part you must understand. What you think you lost is often what was blocking what's meant for you. The universe knows what matches your new identity. It knows who you need, it knows what opportunities align, it knows which path leads to the highest timeline, it knows what will elevate you and what will destroy you, and it will never let you keep something that lowers your frequency, not when you've already signaled that you're ready to rise. This is why quantum alignment feels both painful and liberating at the same time. You're grieving the identity that kept you safe, while stepping into the identity that will set you free. But here is where everything becomes simple. Your new reality is not created from force. It's created from coherence. Coherence between your emotions, thoughts, beliefs, and identity. When those align, the quantum field reacts instantly. This is the real secret, the one hidden beneath all the noise. Quantum reality responds to coherence, not effort. You can hustle for years, but without coherence, nothing changes. You can visualize endlessly, but without coherence, the field doesn't move. You can affirm every day, but without coherence, it's just noise. Coherence means your emotions match your intentions, your beliefs match your desires, your identity matches your vision. When these line up, your frequency becomes magnetic. Life begins to flow, timing becomes perfect, synchronicities multiply, opportunities appear, people shift, paths open, reality becomes responsive instead of resistant. This is quantum living, not chasing, not forcing, not hoping, but aligning. Because when you align, you no longer pursue your future. Your future finds you. You're not trying to manifest anymore. You're becoming the person who naturally receives what you used to desperately chase. This is the simplicity that people overlook, and the misunderstanding that keeps them stuck. Quantum reality isn't complicated, it's confronting, because it reveals that you've always had the power, but you weren't using it consciously. It reveals that your life has always been listening, but responding to the identity you kept repeating. It reveals that nothing is out of reach except for the version of you that refuses to evolve. And now, you're evolving. You feel it. You know it. You're stepping into yourself in a way you never have before. You're remembering a truth you buried long ago. You are not here to survive your reality. You are here to shape it, not through force, but through identity, not through obsession, but through coherence, not through fear, but through alignment. And the more you align with your true self, the faster reality bends to it. Your next timeline is already forming. Your new reality is already responding. Your higher identity is already emerging. All you have to do is step into it. But now we enter the most powerful and challenging layer of quantum reality. The layer most people avoid because it requires absolute honesty with yourself. Your reality cannot rise until the version of you who keeps shrinking finally steps aside. This is the moment that separates those who shift from those who stay stuck in the same loops for years. Because once you understand how quantum reality works, you can no longer hide behind excuses. You can no longer blame circumstances. You can no longer pretend you're powerless. You begin to see that every time your life repeats the same patterns, it's not the universe punishing you, it's your identity recreating what feels familiar. This realization is intense, it shakes you, it confronts you, it strips away illusions, but it's also liberating because once you see the pattern, you can break it. So ask yourself honestly, what version of you have you been repeating even though you already outgrew them? The version of you who doubts, the version who settles, the version who apologizes for wanting more, the version who fears being seen, the version who hides their power to avoid judgment, the version who keeps choosing what is safe over what is aligned, the version who carries wounds instead of wisdom. That version has served you. It protected you. It got you through things you didn't know how to survive. It helped you navigate pain you never deserved. But you are not meant to live the rest of your life as the version that merely survived your past. Survival was the chapter. It was never meant to be the identity. Quantum reality becomes simple the moment you let this truth in. You cannot experience a new reality while carrying the emotional frequency of old wounds. Not because the universe is cruel, but because the frequencies don't match. You can't step into abundance while radiating unworthiness. You can't step into clarity while clinging to fear. You can't step into alignment while holding on to people who drain your energy. You can't step into your higher timeline while defending the identity built in your lower ones. This is the moment where the old version of you begins to crumble. And yes, it feels disorienting. It feels like losing control. It feels like stepping into a void, but that void is the birthplace of your transformation. When your old identity dissolves, you enter the quantum gap, the space between who you were and who you are becoming. This gap feels strange because it is pure potential. Nothing is fixed, nothing is determined, nothing is holding you back. It's the moment the universe pauses, waiting for you to choose who you want to be before it mirrors it back to you. And the most powerful thing you can do in this gap is to stop fighting it. Stop trying to cling to old certainties. Stop resisting the unknown. Stop trying to keep your old identity alive out of habit or fear. Because the truth is, if the universe took something from your life, it's because your new identity can't carry it. When something leaves, it's evidence you have already elevated beyond it. Your frequency shifted first. Reality is simply catching up. Let that liberate you, not scare you. Quantum reality becomes misunderstood because people think collapse means failure, but collapse is often confirmation. Confirmation that your old timeline is dying, confirmation that you're rising, confirmation that you're stepping into your next frequency. You are not breaking down, you're breaking through. But there's another emotional truth people rarely acknowledge. Your new identity begins the moment you stop arguing with the life you're outgrowing. Arguments like, "This shouldn't be happening. I thought I lost something important. I don't know what comes next. I'm afraid to let this go." These thoughts keep your frequency looping back into the past. The quantum field doesn't respond to fear of the unknown. It responds to trust in alignment. And alignment doesn't mean certainty. It means coherence. Coherence with your truth. Coherence with your intuition. Coherence with your highest timeline. You don't need to know every detail. You only need to hold the identity of someone who is rising, even if you don't see the staircase yet, because the staircase forms after you take the first step, not before. This is the moment where people experience the greatest quantum leaps. Not when everything is perfect, but when they stop resisting the unknown, because the unknown is not empty, it's full. Full of timelines you haven't lived yet, full of possibilities you haven't touched yet, full of versions of you that your old identity could never access. Everything you want exists in the unknown. Nothing new lives in the familiar. So when life feels uncertain, when paths feel unclear, when everything you depended on is shifting, this isn't the universe abandoning you. This is the universe positioning you, recalibrating you, lifting you out of a timeline that can no longer hold your energy. Because the truth is, you cannot rise and stay the same. Something must fall away. Something must be released, something must dissolve. And you know what that something usually is? Your old self. Not the entire you, just the version of you that was built inside pain, fear, scarcity, or survival. And here's the deepest truth of this entire journey. Your new reality is not waiting for you. It's waiting for the identity that you are stepping into right now. As soon as you embody that identity, life shifts. Timelines shift, opportunities rearrange, people show up, paths open. Quantum alignment accelerates, not through force, but because the field finally has a frequency to respond to. This is the moment it all begins. This is the moment the quantum field listens. This is the moment your next timeline starts building itself around you. Because you're not just understanding quantum reality anymore, you're living it, breathing it, becoming it. And once you become it, nothing can stop the transformation that follows. And now we reach the part of the journey that very few people ever enter. The part where quantum reality stops being a concept and becomes a lived experience. Because once you release the old identity, once you stop resisting the unknown, once you step into the emotional frequency of who you're becoming, something extraordinary happens. Life begins responding before you take action. This is the shift most people spend their entire lives chasing. The moment when reality becomes fluid, cooperative, responsive, aligned. The moment when things you used to fight for begin flowing toward you with almost eerie precision. Not because you're lucky, not because the universe suddenly favors you, but because you finally stepped into the frequency that the universe has been trying to align you with. This is when people start saying things like, everything is happening at the perfect time. I can't believe how fast things are changing. This feels meant to be. I've never been this clear. It's like reality is rearranging itself around me. And that's exactly what's happening, because once your identity aligns, quantum reality begins to orchestrate your next timeline. It moves people, events, opportunities, and decisions like pieces on a board, strategically, effortlessly, invisibly. You don't see the orchestration at first. You only see the results, the sudden shifts, the unexpected breakthroughs, the perfectly timed moments, the surprising clarity, the paths that open exactly when you need them. This is quantum coherence in motion. And no, you're not imagining it. You're not just being positive. You're not fantasizing. You're experiencing the real mechanics of reality. Because the quantum field doesn't just respond to identity, it structures reality around it. Think of it like gravity. Your identity becomes the gravitational center that pulls matching timelines toward you. This is why your old life collapses when your identity rises. Your old life was orbiting around your old self. And once that self dissolves, the orbit collapses with it. And this is where people get confused, because collapse doesn't look like creation. It looks like loss. It looks like uncertainty. It looks like endings. But here's the truth. Collapse is how the quantum field clears the path for your new timeline to emerge. You cannot build a new structure on the foundation of an identity you've already outgrown. The old must dissolve. The old must fall. The old must fade. Not because you failed, but because you evolved. And once the clearing begins, there is no going back. You can try to reach for your old patterns, but they won't fit anymore. You can try to step into your old identity, but it will feel too tight, too small, too false. You can try to force old dynamics, but they will fall apart faster than before. Because the universe won't let you shrink back into the version of yourself that you've already risen above. You're done with who you were, and life knows it. Now hear this deeply. Once your frequency rises, your old reality becomes incompatible with you. You can't go back to it, not even if you try. This is the ultimate sign of transformation. When the familiar becomes unbearable, but not because it changed, but because you did. And the moment you outgrow your past, the universe begins preparing your future. This preparation is subtle at first, a thought you can't ignore, a pull towards something new, a sudden clarity, a shift in what feels right, a loss of interest in what once defined you, a quiet calm around things that used to trigger you, a sense that something bigger is coming. These are not coincidences, they are signals, indicators that your new timeline is being assembled. Momentum builds, synchronicities accelerate, your intuition strengthens. You begin making decisions with a clarity you didn't know you were capable of. And then, the quantum break. A moment where something shifts so quickly, so precisely, so undeniably aligned that you realize this is not random. This is the universe responding to me. And once you truly see this, you will never be the same, because you will understand, not just intellectually, but experientially, that reality is not happening to you. Reality is happening through you. The power you feel in that moment is something no one can teach. It's something no one can take away. It's something you carry for the rest of your life. But here's the most beautiful part of all. The universe doesn't give you a new reality and then wait to see if you keep up. The universe adjusts every time you rise into a new identity. It does not require perfection. It does not require constant confidence. It does not require you to never doubt. It only requires one thing: consistency with your new identity more often than with your old one. That's it. Not perfection. Dominance. If the dominant version of you is aligned, clear, trusting, intentional, your reality will match that version. If the dominant version of you is wounded, fearful, uncertain, self-doubting, your reality will match that version too. The field responds to your baseline, not your peaks. And here's the truth. Your baseline is rising right now. Every word you've absorbed in this journey is lifting your identity, your awareness, your frequency. You're not just learning, you're expanding. You're not just listening, you're recalibrating. Your mind is shifting, your emotional patterns are shifting, your belief system is shifting, your sense of self is shifting, and because of that, your reality is already shifting. You may not see it fully yet, but you can feel it. Something is happening, something is aligning, something inside you is preparing for a timeline your old identity was never allowed to enter. And here's the most important truth as we approach the final part. Your future is not ahead of you, it is created from within you. And right now, in this moment, you are becoming the version of yourself who can finally receive everything that was always meant for you. And now, we reach the final layer, the revelation that brings everything together. The truth that quantum reality has been trying to teach you from the very beginning. You are not here to chase a new reality. You are here to become the version of yourself for whom that reality is inevitable. Everything you've felt in this journey, the awakenings, the discomfort, the dissolving of old identities, the rising trust, the clarity forming inside you, has been preparing you for this moment. Because the ultimate shift does not happen when your circumstances change. The ultimate shift happens when you do. Quantum reality bends not to desire, but to identity, not to wishing, but to coherence, not to fear, but to alignment. And as you stand here, in this final chapter, with new awareness pulsing through your thoughts, your breath, your emotions, your energy, you can feel it. You are not the same person who started this journey. Something in you broke open, something in you woke up, something in you rose, not softly, not subtly, but undeniably. This is the frequency shift people spend years searching for. The moment when your inner world and your outer world finally begin to match. When your desires stop feeling distant and start feeling familiar. When your future stops feeling like a dream and starts feeling like a memory you're walking into. When someday stops existing and now becomes the only timeline that matters. Because the truth is, your future is a vibration long before it becomes an experience. And for the first time, your vibration matches the reality you've been trying to reach. This is the moment where your life begins transforming faster than your mind can comprehend, not because the universe changed, but because you finally became someone the universe can respond to. And that is the most misunderstood part of quantum reality. The universe never resists you. It only reflects you. People misunderstand this because they think reality is random, inconsistent, chaotic. But reality is none of these things. Reality is obedient, precise, mathematical, aligned. The chaos you experienced in the past was not because the universe was against you. It was because your inner world was sending mixed signals. Fear mixed with desire, doubt mixed with hope, attachment mixed with possibility. Your signal was fragmented. Your frequency was blurred. Your identity was divided. But now, listen to yourself. Feel yourself. Your signal is clear. Your identity is rising. Your frequency is stabilizing. Your awareness is aligned. And for the first time in a long time, maybe ever, you are broadcasting the vibration of someone who is ready. Ready to receive, ready to rise, ready to allow, ready to step into the timeline that was always waiting for your arrival. This is what quantum alignment feels like: a calm certainty, a steady confidence, a peaceful knowing that you don't need to control the outcome because the outcome is already aligned with you. And this leads to the final truth the universe has been whispering to you your entire life. The things meant for you will always come to you when you become the version of yourself who can hold them. Not before, not later, but exactly when your identity catches up to your destiny. This is why your breakthroughs didn't come earlier. Not because you weren't worthy, not because life was unfair, not because you were doing it wrong, but because you were still living as the version of you that wasn't ready to receive them. But now, you're ready, not because everything is perfect, but because you are aligned. Not because the fear disappeared, but because you stopped letting it define you. Not because you forced a new identity, but because your soul finally rose into it. And as you breathe right now, your new timeline is already forming. Your new opportunities are already aligning. Your next chapter is already written in the quantum field, waiting only for your continued coherence to unfold itself around you. So hear this clearly. The message every version of your future self has been trying to send you. Stop worrying about what comes next. You are already on the frequency that leads exactly where you're meant to go. You don't need to rush. You don't need to force. You don't need to fear missing your moment. You don't need to doubt the path. Your only job now is to stay aligned with the identity you have stepped into, because when you stay aligned, the quantum field does the rest. It brings the right people, the right timing, the right openings, the right clarity, the right transformations, the right abundance, the right breakthroughs, the right alignment. Reality becomes a mirror reflecting the truth of who you have become. And who you've become is powerful, aligned, awake, conscious, intentional, receptive, magnetic. This is not the end of your journey. This is the beginning of a new timeline, your true timeline, the timeline that matches your highest identity. The version of you that once felt impossible is now the version you are stepping into with every breath, every choice, every aligned thought. And from this moment forward, everything you experience will reflect that identity. Your life is not shifting. Your life has shifted. Your reality is not opening. Your reality is open. Your quantum field is not preparing. Your quantum field is aligned. You are no longer trying to create your reality. You are living as the person who naturally attracts the reality you want. This is quantum truth. This is quantum power. This is quantum identity. And now it is yours.